y'all, and welcome to one of my videos that was supposed to go up during Vlogmas, and random books that I want to get to in 2021 that aren't new releases. I guess we'll just get to it. Some of these I have physical copies, some of these I don't. If I don't have the physical copy, I'll keep the cover up here, and then I will give you the description for all of the books too. I'm really excited for all of these. These have all been books that I've really wanted to get to, but have been putting off for one reason or another. Quite a few of these are queer releases, which I'm really excited about, so let's just talk about them. The first one is Never Contented Things by Sarah Porter. This is a library copy, but I have a Kindle version. I just thought it'd be nice to have a cover. So this one, Seductive, Cruel, Bored. Be wary of Never Contented Things. Prince and his fairy courtiers are staggeringly beautiful, astonishingly cruel, and exhausted by the tedium of the centuries, until they meet foster siblings Josh and Ksenia. Drawn in by their vivid emotions, undying love for each other, and passion for life, Prince will stop at nothing to possess them. First seduced and then entrapped by the fairies, Joss and Ksenia learn that the fairies' otherworldly gifts come at a terrible price, and they must risk everything in order to reclaim their freedom. Everybody loves Cruel Prince. I, for one, did not like it, and I'm really hoping that this will give me everything I wanted in Cruel Prince, but didn't get. Again, this is Never Contented Things by Sarah Porter. And I will have all the books listed in the description below, so you can go to the Goodreads page for them. The next book I want to talk about, this is an older release, but one that I'm really excited for. I think I'll really like this author. She only has 2 books out so far, and her first release was The Strange and Beautiful Sorrows of Ava Lavender. This is by Leslie Walton. So this one says, Love makes us such fools. Foolish love appears to be the Rue family birthright, which casts an ominous fate for its most recent progeny, twins Ava and Henry Lavender. Henry is mute for much of his young life, and Ava, in all other ways a normal girl, is born with the wings of a bird. At 16, sheltered Ava delves into her family's past and ventures into the wider world, ill-prepared for what she might discover and naive to the twisted motives of the others. Others, like the pious Nathaniel Sorrows, who mistakes Ava for an angel and whose obsession with her grows until Ava's quest and her family's saga build to a dark and heartbreaking crescendo. First-time author Leslie Walton has constructed a layered and haunting mythology of what it means to be born with a heart that is tragically, exquisitely human. This sounds so beautiful, and I've been so excited to read this. I really don't know why I haven't gotten to it, other than that it sounds like it's going to be slow-paced, and for me, someone who generally reads like fast-paced fantasy books, that wasn't something that I was willing to put in the time for. But one of my goals this year was to start reading the books that I've been putting off, and especially the ones that are in genres I don't usually read, so everything basically non-fantasy and sci-fi, and mostly to also read more non-romance as well. So this is another one I'm really excited for. The next one, and I hate to even mention this because this author is kind of a scumbag, but I was obsessed with the first book and I read it before everything kind of happened last year. So he has had allegations against him for like sexual assault and sexual harassment against many women. So I won't be reviewing this when I am done reading this on my channel, but this is one of the books I'm going to read this year. 10 Arrows of Iron by Sam Sykes. Again, this is a library copy, but I have a Kindle version. So this is the sequel to 7 Blades in Black. And basically that story is about a woman who was betrayed by a bunch of her friends, and basically she has a revenge list of all the people she wants to kill. They're all like very bad people, considered villains in this world, and they go around killing people. This is a very expansive fantasy world, action beginning to end, and the way the first book ended made me really excited for the sequel, to the point where, again, even though the author is not a good person, I will read this book, although, again, this will be the only time you will be seeing this on my channel for, like, eternity. So this is going to be read but will not be talked about, and I don't know, I'm excited for it, but I wouldn't recommend reading it. I wouldn't want to support the author in any way. So the next, you may have heard me talk about a couple times already reading this year, but I haven't gotten to, The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. I have not had the greatest experience reading V.E. Schwab. I didn't like This Savage Song, like that duology, but I did like Vicious. It was like a 4-star read for me. This is another adult book by her, and from all the reviews I'm hearing, even from people who have the same opinion on this author as I do, they have loved this series, or this book. It's supposed to be very emotional. So this one, Never pray to the gods that answer after dark. France, 1714. In a moment of desperation, a young woman named Adeline meets a dangerous stranger and makes a terrible mistake. As she realizes the limitations of her Faustian bargain, being able to live forever without being able to be remembered by anyone she sees, Addie chooses to flee her small village as everything she once held dear is torn away. But there are still dreams to be had and a life to live, and she is determined to find excitement and satisfaction in the wide beckoning world, even if she will be doomed to be alone forever. Or not quite alone, as every year on her birthday, the alluring luck comes to visit, checking to see if she's ready to give up her soul. The darkly thrilling game stretches through the ages, seeing Addie witness history and fight to regain herself as she crosses oceans and tries on various lives. It will be 300 years before she stumbles into a hidden bookstore and someone who can remember her name, and suddenly everything changes again. In the vein of The Time Traveler's Wife and Life After Life, The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue is best-selling author V.E. Schwab's genre-defying tour de force. I have heard that V.E. Schwab said this is like the book of her heart. She's been writing this for years. I also know that the main character, Addie, basically lives on just to spite this luck who gave her this infinite life at the cost of nobody remembering her. And like, we just love a story about somebody continuing on just to spite a man. Like, so I don't know. I'm very excited about this one. I don't know what else to say. I don't have good history with this author, but I'm still very hopeful. So some of these are going to be series. A lot of them are only like have 2 books out yet so far though. So this one is The Ruin of Kings and the Name of All Things by Jen Lyons. I bought the first one and was lucky enough to get the finished copy of the second one from the publisher, although unfortunately haven't read it yet. But I have come to the conclusion that any books recommended by Pierre Ford are books I'm going to love, because that's happened every single time so far. Seven Blades in Black was a recommendation by her. The Faithful and the Fallen series was a recommendation by her, and she absolutely loves this series, so I can't not read it. I had started it before. I got quite a bit into it, and I was really enjoying myself, but I just put it down for some reason, so I'll probably start from the beginning on this one. But as for what this is about, when destiny calls, there's no fighting back. Kieran grew up in the slums of Kur, a thief and a minstrel's son raised on tales of long-lost princes and magnificent quests. When he is claimed against his will as the missing son of a treasonous prince, Kieran finds himself at the mercy of his new family's ruthless power plays and political ambitions. Practically a prisoner, Kieran discovers that being a long-lost prince is nothing like what the storybooks have promised. The storybooks lied about a lot of other things, too. Dragons, demons, gods, prophecies, true love, and how the hero always wins. Then again, maybe he isn't the hero after all, for Kieran is not destined to save the Empire. He's destined to destroy it. This just sounds so, so good. I'm obviously not going to read the description of the second book because I haven't read the first one yet. This will probably be one of the first ones I get to next year because this is one I am so excited about, and this is one of the few, like, truly true, like, fantasy books on this list. So, yeah, I'm just really, really excited to get to this. The next one is another duology. So, The Star-Touched Queen and The Crown of Wishes, both by Roshani Chokshi. I read The Gilded Wolves and The Silvered Serpents this year by Roshani Chokshi, and that opened up a whole new door, and now I just want to read everything by her. And I've had these books for years, and I just haven't freaking read them for some reason, even though I know I'm going to love them. So I'll tell you what this one is about. Fate and fortune, power and passion. What does it take to be the queen of a kingdom when you're only 17? Maya is cursed. With a horoscope that promises marriage of death and destruction, she has earned only the scorn and fear from her father's kingdom. While Maya is content to follow more scholarly pursuits, her whole world is torn apart when her father, the Raja, arranges a wedding of political convenience to quell outside rebellions. Soon Maya becomes the queen of Acheron and the wife of Amar. Neither roles are what she expected. As Acheron's queen, she finds her voice and power. As Amar's wife, she finds something else entirely: compassion, protection, and desire. But Acheron has its own secrets: thousands of locked doors, gardens of glass, and a tree that bears memories instead of fruit. Soon, Maya suspects her life is in danger, yet who besides her husband can she trust? With the fate of the human and otherworldly realms hanging in the balance, Maya must unravel an ancient mystery that spans reincarnated lives to save those she loves the most, including herself. A lush and vivid story that is steeped in the Indian folklore and mythology, The Star-Touched Queen is a novel that no reader will soon forget. Once you see my 2021 most anticipated releases, you will understand. I am so hyped for everything mythology related this year. I don't really know why. I've always loved mythology themed stuff, but I haven't picked up any of it, even though I own a ton of it. And that's kind of a theme for this year. So I'm really, really excited to get to these first two. And actually, spoiler alert, this one is on my January TBR. So I'm really, really excited for this one. I'm really excited to read more Roshni Chakshi. The next one is another one I got from a publisher. That's The Fate of the Fallen by Calcade. I want to say, was this inspired by Lord of the Rings or something? I don't know, but here's the description. Not all stories have happy endings. Everybody loves Matthias. Naturally, when he discovers it's his destiny to save the world, he dives in headfirst, pulling his best friend Oslo along for the ride. However, saving the world isn't as easy as it sounds in the stories. The going gets rough, and folks start to believe their best chance for survival is to surrender to the forces of evil, which isn't how the prophecy goes at all. As the list of allies grows thin and the friends find themselves staring death in the face, they must decide how to become the heroes they were destined to be, or failing that, how to survive. This one sounded so good, which is why I requested it from the publisher. They ended up sending me a finished copy, and it's super short. So I'm really, really excited to get to this one. This didn't necessarily sound like something that was like super up my alley based on the reviews, not necessarily the description. So that's probably why I haven't read it yet, but I'm really excited about this. The next one is The Beautiful, and then also the sequel, The Damned by Renee Addie. This one I know takes place in like historical New Orleans, and I pre-ordered it and never read it, which is really pissing me off. So I'm definitely going to be getting to this one this year. I'll read the description. In 1872, New Orleans is a city ruled by the dead. But to 17-year-old Céline Rousseau, New Orleans is a safe haven after she's forced to flee her life as a dressmaker in Paris. Taken in by the Sisters of the Ursuline Convent in the middle of the carnival season, Céline is quickly enraptured by the vibrant city, from its music to its fancy soirees and even its danger. She becomes embroiled in the city's glitzy underworld known as, I'm not going to say this right, La Cour des Lions, after catching the eye of the group's enigmatic leader, Sebastian Saint Germain. When the body of one of the girls from the convent is found in Sebastian's own lair, the second dead girl to turn up in recent weeks, Céline battles her attraction to Sebastian and suspicions about his guilt along with the shame of her own horrible secret. After the third murder, New Orleans becomes gripped by the terror of a serial killer on the loose, one who has now set Céline in his sights. As the murderer stalks her, Céline finally takes matters into her own hands, only to find herself caught in the midst of an age-old feud between the darkest creatures of the night, where the price of forbidden love is her life. So yeah, this one sounds really exciting. There's another series by her that I've heard really good things about, The Wrath and the Dawn. That's another series I really want to get to this year. But I'm really excited about The Beautiful by Renee Addie. So that's another one I'm going to be getting to. Again, I'm sorry about the lighting. I'm doing my best. We're in some weird circumstances right now that forced me to not film in front of my bookshelf, so. The next one is kind of a newer release. This came out last year. That's The Guest List by Lucy Foley. This is supposed to be like Clue. So basically like a murder mystery on an island whodunit type of thing. I've heard mixed things about this one, but I got it from Book of the Month for the few months that I had it, so like I'm pretty excited to get to it. It's the wedding of the year, but someone won't survive it. On a remote island off the coast of Ireland, guests gather to celebrate the wedding of Jules Keegan and Will Slater. Will is a rising television star, handsome and charming. Jules is a smart, ambitious magazine publisher. Though the sea is a little choppy and the cell service spotty, their wedding is everything you'd expect of a young power couple. Designer dress, 4-tiered cake, boutique whiskey, vintage champagne. Every detail has been curated to perfection. All that's left to orchestrate is the happiness. But perfection is for plans, and people are all too human. It's not long after the cake is cut and the champagne popped that resentments and petty jealousies come out. Worse yet, the latest barometer reading shows the weather has shifted from fair to changeable, and dark clouds are looming overhead. Everybody on the island has a secret, everyone has a motive, and someone won't leave the wedding alive. This is what I'm really, really excited for. I'm not usually a thriller person. I tried a couple this year and most of them ended up being DNFs, so like I'm really hoping I like this one, otherwise I'm gonna sell it, so. So these next couple are all non-fantasy reads. They're all along the lines of like fiction, historical fiction, or like mythology themed, so. The next one is The Golem and the Jinni by Helene Wecker. I know there's a second one coming out for this soon, and it's honestly kind of shameful that I haven't read this yet. As somebody who does have a Jewish family, I'm very invested in consuming Jewish literature. My cat is over here. And I've heard really, really great things about this to the point where like I literally have no excuses for not having read this already. With a delightful blend of the prosaic and the fanciful, The Golem and the Jinni explores what it means to be human as Kava and Ahmed struggle to live and find love while overcoming the powerful adversary who threatens to destroy them. Should I be saying this as Chava instead? Hava is a golem, a creature made of clay, brought to life by a strange man who dabbles in dark Kabbalistic magic. Ahmad is a Jinni, being born of fire, born in the ancient Syrian desert. Trapped in the old copper flask by a Bedouin wizard centuries ago, he is released accidentally by a tinsmith in Lower Manhattan shop. Struggling to make their way in 1899 New York, the golem and the Jinni try to fit in with their immigrant neighbors while masking their true selves. Meeting by chance, they become unlikely friends whose tenuous attachment challenges their opposing natures until the night a terrifying incident drives them back into their separate worlds. But a powerful menace will soon bring the golem and the Jinni together again, threatening their existence and forcing them to make a fateful choice. Marvelous and compulsively readable, The Golem and the Jinni weaves strands of folk mythology, historical fiction, and magical fable into a wondrously inventive and unforgettable tale. Again, I've heard amazing things about this book, and I really, really can't wait to get to this. I'm kind of hoping to get to this earlier in the year, and also deckled edges. I love that so much. I know a lot of people don't like that, but I love that. Maybe the next couple will do the ones that I have for Kindle because I don't want my laptop to die before I can read you guys the description. So I'll put the cover here. The next book I want to talk about is Spellbook of the Lost and Found by Moira Fowley Doyle. This one says, one stormy summer night, Olive and her best friend Rose begin to lose things. It starts with simple items like hair clips and jewelry, but soon it's clear that Rose has lost something bigger, something she won't talk about. Then Olive meets three wild, mysterious strangers, Ivy, Hazel, and Rowan. Like Rose, they're mourning losses and holding tight to secrets. When they discover the ancient spellbook full of hand-inked charms to conjure back lost things, they realize it might be their chance to set everything right, unless it's leading them towards secrets that were never meant to be found. Again, I've seen some people review this. This only has 4,000 ratings on Goodreads, so it's not super popular, but I'm really, really excited about it. It's supposed to be pretty good. The next one we're going to talk about is Agnes at the End of the World. This one is by Kelly McWilliams, and this one says, The Handmaid's Tale meets Wilder Girls in this unique, voice-driven novel from Kelly McWilliams. Agnes loves her home of Red Creek, its quiet, sunny mornings, and its dusty novels, and its God. There, she cares tirelessly for her younger siblings and follows the town's strict laws. What she doesn't know is that Red Creek is a cult, controlled by a madman who calls himself a prophet. Then Agnes meets Danny, an outsider boy, and begins to question what is and isn't a sin. Her younger brother, Ezekiel, will die without the insulin she barters for once a month, even though medicine is considered outlawed. Is she a sinner for saving him? Is her sister Beth a sinner for dreaming of the world beyond Red Creek? As the prophet grows more dangerous, Agnes realizes she must escape with Ezekiel and leave everyone else, including Beth, behind. But it isn't safe outside either. A viral pandemic is burning through the population at a terrifying rate. As Agnes ventures forth, a mysterious connection grows between her and the virus. But in a world where faith, miracles, and cruelty have long been indistinguishable, will Agnes be able to choose between saving her family and saving the world? I'd intended to get to this in 2020, but as you can probably guess with everything happened, I wasn't super comfortable reading it, but I think I'm probably at a point now where I'd be okay. So that's just another one that I'm really, really excited about. Again, I've heard very little about it, but I do know that it's queer, so I'm pretty excited about it. Okay, the next one I'm excited about is The Freemasons' Daughter by Shally Sakier. I think I said that right, maybe. So this one says, the Outlander series for the YA audience, a debut full of romance and intrigue set in the early 18th century Scotland. Saying goodbye to Scotland is the hardest thing that Jenna Macduff has had to do. Until she meets Lord Pembroke, Jenna's small clan has risked their lives traveling the countryside as Masons, secretly drumming up support and arms for the exiled King James Stuart to retake the British throne. But the next job brings them into enemy territory, England. Jenna's father repeatedly warns her to trust no one, but when the Duke of Keswick hires the clan to build a garrison on his estate, it seems she cannot hide her capable mind from the Duke's inquisitive son, Lord Alex Pembroke, nor mask her growing attraction to him. But there's a covert plan behind the building of the garrison, and soon Jenna must struggle not only to keep her newfound friendship with Alex from her father, but also to keep her father's treason from Alex. Will Jenna decide to keep her family's mutinous secrets and assist her clan's cause, or protect the life of the young noble she's falling for? In Shally Sakier's lush, vivid historical debut, someone will pay a deadly price no matter what choice Jenna makes. So this one just sounds super excited. I have owned this book for years. This came out in 2017. I'm pretty sure I pre-ordered it the year it came out. So it's just kind of time that I got to this one. And I don't know if you guys know this, but one of my favorite shows of all time is actually Reign So that is the Mary Queen of Scots inspired CW show, and this gives me all kinds of vibes, so I'm pretty excited to get to this one. And I'm sorry if I keep saying the same thing over and over again. I'll try and edit some of them out. Okay, so the next one that I want to get to is The Dark Tide by Alicia Jasinska. Again, I haven't heard much about this one, but this is, again, a queer fantasy story. So this one says, the wicked deep meets a curse so dark and lonely in this gripping dark fairy tale fantasy about two girls who must choose between saving themselves, each other, or their sinking island city. Every year on St. Walpurga's Eve, Caldella's witch queen lures a boy back to her palace, an innocent life to be sacrificed on the full moon to keep the island city from sinking. Lena Kirk is convinced her brother is going to be taken this year. To save him, she enlists the help of Thomas Lynn, the boy she secretly loves, and the only person to ever escape from the palace, but they draw the queen's attention and Thomas is chosen as the sacrifice. Queen Eva watched her sister die to save the boy she loved. Now as queen, she won't make the same mistake. She's willing to sacrifice anyone if it means saving herself and her city. When Lena offers herself to the queen in exchange for Thomas's freedom, the two girls await the full moon together. But Lena is not at all what Eva expected, and the queen is nothing like Lena envisioned. Against her will, they find themselves falling for each other. As water floods Caldella's street and the dark tide demands its sacrifice, they must choose who to save, themselves, each other, or the island city relying on them both. I'm so excited for this one. So this one actually just came out in August of 2020, so it's a relatively new release. I had planned to get to it last year, but didn't. So again, another one I'm really excited for. The next one I want to get to is The Winter Duke by Claire Eliza Bartlett. This one says, an enchanted tale of intrigue where a duke's daughter is the only survivor of a magical curse. When Ikata's brother is finally named heir, there will be nothing to keep her at home in, I don't know how to say that, Kilma above with her murderous family. Not her books or science experiments, not her family's icy castle atop a frozen lake, not even the tantalizingly close Kilma below, a mesmerizing underwater kingdom that provides her family with magic. But just as escape is within reach, her parents and 12 siblings fall under a strange sleeping sickness. In the space of a single night, Ikata inherits the title of Duke, her brother's warrior bride, and an ever-encroaching challengers from without and within her own ministry. Nothing has prepared Ikata for diplomacy, for war, for love, or for a crown that she never wanted. If Kilma above is to survive, Ikata must seize her family's power, and if Ikata is to survive, she must quickly decide how she will wield it. Part Sleeping Beauty, part Anastasia, with a thrilling political mystery, The Winter Duke is a spellbinding story about choosing what's right in the face of danger. I am so incredibly excited for this one. I mean, how can you not be when you hear part Anastasia, part Sleeping Beauty, and it's queer? Like, I don't know. So, this one actually, as I'm filming this video, is currently on sale in the Kindle store for $2.99. So I'd really like get this one if I were you before it's not on sale anymore. So, let's see. And I have one more Kindle one before we get back to the last few physical books. The last one is The Deathless Girls by Kieran Millwood Hargrave. Again, this one only actually has like 2,600 ratings on Goodreads, so it's not super popular. I haven't really heard anybody talk about this. This came out in 2019, so it's relatively new. Again, I think this one is queer. They say the thirst of blood is like a madness. They must sate it, even with their own kin. On the eve of her divining, the day she'll discover her fate, 17-year-old Lil and her twin sister Kizzy are captured and enslaved by the cruel boyar Valkar, taken away from their beloved traveler community. Forced to work in the harsh and unwelcoming castle kitchens, Lil is comforted when she meets Mira, a fellow slave who she feels drawn to in a way she doesn't understand. But she also learns about the dragon, the mysterious and terrifying figure of myth and legend who takes girls as gifts. They may not have had their divining day, but the girls will still discover their fate. That's not super specific. It doesn't quite tell you everything that's going to be happening in the story, but I don't know. I'm excited about it. I'm all about reading queer stories, especially female ones, so I'm really excited for that. We'll get to the last few physical books now. The next one is an ARC I got from a Goodreads giveaway. This came out in 2020. This one is called I Was Told It Would Get Easier by Abby Waxman. So this says, stuck on a bus full of strangers, mother and daughter duo Jessica and Emily Bernstein watched their carefully mapped up college tour devolve into something they never expected in this hilarious and insightful new novel from the author of The Bookish Life of Nina Hill. Jessica and Emily have very different ideas of how this college tour should go. For Emily, it's a last-ditch effort to get excited about her future because every day in the present feels like such a slog. Can't she just skip straight to the adulting part? It looks so much easier, at least on social media. For Jessica, it's a chance to bond with the daughter she seems to have lost. They used to be so close, but then goldfish crackers and Play-Doh were no longer enough of a draw. She isn't even sure if Emily likes her anymore. To be honest, Jessica isn't entirely sure she likes herself. Together with more than a dozen strangers and 2 familiar enemies, Jessica and Emily travel the East Coast, visiting one prospective college after another, meeting up with family and old friends along the way. Surprises and secrets test a relationship and, in the end, change it forever. I'm not usually into contemporary, but I don't know where I heard this, but I'm pretty sure there's some Jewish rep in here. I think that's probably why I signed up for the giveaway. So the next one is another queer book. This one's called Willa and Shepard by Amy Feltman. I've had this one for a really long time, and look at this cover. That's like absolutely stunning. So the description says, or maybe we'll be lucky and we'll find each other after all of my grief and anger and sadness have caramelized into acceptance, and I'll see your hair peeking out from your jacket collar on a real street in a real moment, and I'll recognize you irrefutably. And in that moment, I'll know just what to say, even if it's just as simple as a smile and raising my hand to say, it's you, and I'm still me, hello. Willa's darkness enters Hesper's light late one night in Brooklyn. There's a whirlwind romance until Willa starts to know Hesper too well to crawl into her hidden spaces, and Hesper shuts her out. Hesper runs, following her fractured family back to her grandfather's hometown, I'm not going to say this right, of Tbilisi, Georgia? Looking for the origin story that he is no longer able to tell. But once in Tbilisi, cracks appear in her grandfather's history, and a massive flood is heading toward Georgia, threatening any hope for repair. Meanwhile, heartbroken Willa is so desperate to leave New York that she joins a group trip for Jewish 20-somethings to visit Holocaust sites in Germany and Poland, hoping to override her emotional state. When it proves to be more fraught than home, she must come to terms with her past, an ancestral past, her romantic past, and the past that can lead her forward. Told from alternating perspectives and ending in the shadow of Trump's presidency, Willa and Shepard is a soul-piercing debut that explores the intertwining of past and present, queerness, and coming of age in uncertain times. This one seems very relevant. And again, the Jewish rep, like, honestly, if you guys have any books that I haven't mentioned so far that have Jewish rep, please recommend them below. That's something I really love reading about, especially if there's queer rep also. So I'm really excited to get to this one. Another short read, and one I'm hoping to read probably in springtime, just because the cover is very like aesthetically spring. So the next one is one I have read before and quit halfway through, not because I wasn't enjoying it, but for whatever reason I just put it down. That is Cersei by Madeline Miller. I got the really gorgeous cover before this book actually came out in the US. I ordered it from the UK. So this one is based on the mythology of Cersei, but there wasn't much told about her story in the Odyssey, which I believe is where she's from. But the description says, in the house of Helios, god of the sun and mightiest of the Titans, a daughter is born. But Cersei has neither the look nor the voice of divinity and is scorned and rejected by her kin. Her isolation leads her to discover a power forbidden to the gods, witchcraft. When love drives Cersei to cast a dark spell, vengeful Zeus banishes her to the remote island of Aya, where she learns to harness her occult craft. But there is danger for a solitary woman in this world, and Cersei's independence draws the wrath of men and gods alike. To protect what she holds dear, Cersei must decide whether she belongs with the desires she is born from or the mortal she has come to love. Breathing life into the ancient world, Madeline Miller weaves an intoxicating tale of gods and heroes, magic and monsters, survival and transformation. Again, with the mythology, I have to get to this year. It's just something I'm really wanting to get into. And also, if I enjoy this one, I'm definitely going to be reading Song of Achilles afterwards. So again, one I'm really excited for. Probably going to be a spring read. I'm thinking like early this year in the spring. Again, really beautiful cover. I'm really excited to take pictures with this and to see how much I enjoy the story. Also, I don't know if I've mentioned it, but all the books I've mentioned so far are books I'm pretty much figuring are going to be 5 stars. So like 5-star predictions. 2 more, and these 2 are ones I have heard absolutely nobody talking about, so I'm pretty excited about it. I got this one from a library sale. It's called The Emerald Circus by Jane Yolen, with an introduction by Holly Black. This one won the Nebula Award, and I think Jane Yolen also writes a lot of Jewish fiction. So this one says, where is Wendy? Leading a labor strike against the Lost Boys, of course. A Scottish academic unearths ancient evil in a fishing village. Edgar Allan Poe's young bride is beguiled by a most unusual bird. Dorothy, lifted from Kansas, returns as a gymnastics sophisticate. Emily Dickinson dwells in possibility and sails away in a starship made of light. Alice's wicked nemesis has jaws and claws but really needs a sense of humor. In Jane Yolen's full first collection in more than 10 years, discover new and uncollected tales of beloved characters, literary legends, and much more. Enter the Emerald Circus and be astonished by the transformation within. Okay, so I didn't know that this was kind of like a short story collection or something. Yeah, it is. So that's kind of exciting. This will be something probably pretty quick then. Yep, I was right. So she wrote the Devil's Arithmetic. Apparently she's the author of more of 350 books, which is kind of crazy. So yeah, I'm just really excited to get to this one. The cover is obviously what drew me in. It's a little bit weird and out there, but I think that's kind of what grabbed my attention. And the last book for 2020 is, I got an advanced reader copy last year through a Goodreads giveaway that I never quite made it to, because if I'm going to be reading ARCs, it's going to be ones that I actually got from publishers that require feedback. And I just didn't have time with this while reading those. So I'm gonna read this in January because I have the sequel Shadow City, which comes out on the 26th, that I want to read obviously before release day because that requires feedback. So this one says, meet Anna Solis, whose wit is as sharp as her blade. 18-year-old Anna is a professional assassin with a bounty on her head. In an industrial wasteland full of half-constructed subway tunnels, blood magic, secret markets, and wolf-sized spiders, only one girl holds the power to change her city forever. Just like the metropolis for which it's named, Diamond City is full of shadows, secrets, and heart-stopping surprises. An absolutely electric debut. This one just sounds really good. It sounds like it's going to be quick, although she is kind of thick, so how many pages is this? Okay, so this is about 400 pages, so maybe not as long as it looks, but I'm kind of excited about this. I honestly don't expect this to be a 5-star read. I'm probably, like, just from the description alone, gonna bank like 3.5 to 4 stars, but I'm hoping it's a 5-star. You always hope, obviously. So yeah, those were all 21 books / series that I'm really hoping to get to in, you know, 2021. I think what I'm gonna do, if I don't have an idea like of what I want to read specifically during which month, maybe I'll do like a grab jar and grab one of these or probably two of these books out every month to read. Thank you all so much for watching. Let me know down below any books that you plan to get to in 2021 that aren't new releases. And also, again, as asked earlier, please recommend down below any books you know that have Jewish rep, especially if they have queer rep as well. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you on my next video. Bye.